Okay. Okay. So we're here to talk about. So you made it to the homepage for the Flow Induction Consulting Services, and that means you are very much interested in flow and organizing your home to enable you to do and create the best work and output products that you possibly can. So, and we'll start now. So on the screen, you'll see the slides for Flow Induction 101, which is about 9 slides. We'll be hitting about 13 points or so. It's probably a little more. So what is flow? Flow is a mental state in which a person is completely focused on a single task or activity. They're directing all of their attention towards that task, and they do not experience any thoughts about themselves or their performance. Flow state is correlated with peak performance and creativity. To be in flow is, in other words, to be in the zone. I know you've heard about this term before, especially for athletes, NBA players, tennis players, when they're saying that they just feel like they're in the zone, they're super engaged, and time is flying by very quickly. As you can see on the graph, there are a lot of different states that you could be, and it's really a balance between anxiety and arousal. On the graph, it's shown between as your abilities change and as the challenge arises. But there can also be ability is also a difference of arousal, and the challenge falls into the anxiety aspect. So those two are interchangeable. But as you see in different areas, as your abilities reduce, the challenge increase, it makes you very worried or actually anxious. But as your abilities increase, and depending on the level of the challenge, you can actually become relaxed or even bored. But our goal is to be right within that flow state area where your ability linearly lines up with the challenge. Now, why is this important? Why is this flow state idea important? This flow state idea is important because as we experience reality, we go through reality. We interact with it generally with this idea of being and living in a 3-dimensional world, but we are all actually 4-dimensional beings. On the slide, you'll see the picture of a person from their birth to the way to when they get an old age. We rarely are able to perceive this aspect of ourselves. Other than if you take most pictures of yourself and you put them side by side, then you can still see the stills in those frames and those frames. But the reality is, from the time you're born to the time that you pass, that is another version that's kind of undulated over time. That's your 4th dimensional self. So if you're wanting to create the best work, it really comes down to being able to contort and develop your 4th dimensional self to be in alignment of where you can be to perform your best work. And in order to do that, there's a lot of activities involved that you need to really lock in. Primarily health and fitness, because same way as an athlete is going to train before they get on the court, we should really be minding our health and our fitness for our day-to-day activities. I use the metaphor all the time. You're not going to drive cross country down the street or in a grocery store with a car that doesn't have any gas in it or isn't charged for driving an EV. Same for your body. Food, nutrition, carbs, energy, macro and micronutrients all need to be there. And it'll affect your mood, your focus, and your clarity, and your ability to stay in the flow and stay in the zone. Emotional intelligence actually is another portion of it where you're able to really think about your emotional states and understand how that's going to affect how you react to the external environment. Really being able to practice that self-awareness, and it's going to be challenging. I mean, I struggled with this many times, at being able to stay self-aware in the moment and understand everything. Because hindsight is always 20/20. When we look back at the situation, we are able to see all the different aspects and how it comes together to create that situation. It can be very difficult to have that self-awareness to develop all the 4 or 5 different aspects of emotional intelligence listed, but it really is important because as humans, we are motivated by our emotions. That's what drives us to do what we need to do, and that all goes back into our minds and our brains. And the next person I'm talking about 5S and immersion thing. That's 5S is part of the DMAIC and total quality management system that they use a lot in like factories and production plants. And it's really taking those ideas into your home and being able to take that to, like even this area here, I have my desk set up with the screens and monitors right now. We're not using them, but when I do want to look online, do perform trades or do additional research, this allows me to do that best work. So if you're a craftsman in your shop, or you're a cook in your kitchen, or you're an architect in your studio, how do you organize that so you can create the best work possible? And that's really maintaining a level of order and organization where you practice inversion thinking, so that if you need to pick up your tool that's here, you want to make sure you place it here so that when you need to reach it, it's ergonomically makes sense for you to be able to encounter less resistance, and so you can stay within the flow state. When you take that concept of being able to immersion thinking, it really causes you to really drill down into what's known as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Many of you may or may not have already seen this diagram before. Maslow's hierarchy of needs basically talks about, okay, as a human being, human system, biological system, what are the driving things that we need to operate on as humans? In the basic level, air. You can't go, what is it? I think the longest anyone's ever held their breath was like 90 seconds or something like that. I might be wrong, but we need oxygen. So we also need water and food. But what is it? I think we go 7 days without water, but 30 days without food. So there's a hierarchy. So if you place all of our needs in a hierarchy, the very basic would be physiological needs. So air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, and the ability for reproduction. Next, once that base layer is solidified, the next system you need to focus on is the safety needs. Personal security, being able to know that someone's not going to attack you. Being employment, so economic security and resources. And you can have all the money in the world, but if you need chicken or wood or lighting, more money isn't going to solve the problem. You need lighting. Health and property. Your tools. It just comes back to it. After that, it comes down to the idea of love and belonging, which is those emotional, intangible needs that basically all the feels. It's all about the feels. Friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connectiveness, sense of community, and camaraderie, and intimacy. Being able to actually cultivate that really allows us to give meaning to our lives and the work that we do. Because all the work that we do, especially when for any product that we make for our boss, our clients, our customers, and consumers, it's going to be for another person. And understanding that value creation process is the ability to still always comes down to the feels. Like, that's why we do all of it. That's why I'm making this video. That's why you're watching, is because there's something you feel that you need that brought you here. And there's something that's another person, a consumer, wants and feels that they need from you. And if you're not able to do your best work, you're not going to be able to meet that need. So it's all very important. After that comes with self-esteem, because once you're able to meet your emotional needs, you feel a sense of self-respect, self-esteem, and because you have developed a sense of self-efficacy, and you're able to strive, and beyond striving, you're able to thrive. Really develop that grit for Jacob's always talking about freedom through discipline, and being able to really exude that. And at some point, once you put all these layers together, you're able to reach a state of self-actualization. I think even out here now, they always talk about, I'm manifesting my most ideal self. That's where you're being your most authentic self. You're present. You're not distracted with any other situation. You're here in the zone, and you're just talking one-on-one with the person you're engaging with, whoever you're with. But again, there's a hierarchy, so you can't work on your self-esteem aspects when your safety needs aren't met. You can't work on your love and belonging needs when you haven't eaten all day. So you really need, this is an always ongoing process. And I think with someone online I was talking before, it's almost like a scaffold. You can keep climbing this ladder, but if there's any trouble underneath at a lower level, you have to go back and fix it, or it crumbles, collapses it on itself. So next thing we're going to talk about the neurological, because again, we are biological creatures, and being able to practice inversion thinking and self-awareness and managing our blood sugar, so we're not, we're not hangry all the time. It really comes down to being able to know that you're able to change your habits and change yourself and change your brain and change your your mode of operation. And we all can do this. And this is what's something that really invigorated me, is this concept of neuroplasticity. You are not, I think it was Daniel Amen says this, you are not stuck with the brain that you were born with. Everybody changes, and just as, yes, children, when we're younger, we're able to absorb information and learn and grow very quickly, but it doesn't go away. I believe it was like the hippocampus. I was gonna say something else. Hippocampus. Hippocampus that creates new neurons, and so that allows us to create new connections, new synapses, and those networks are able to enable us to develop different and new habits that we need. I'm just like, this is like the first time I'm recording these types of videos. This is going to be a new habit for me as I do more live streams. So this is going to be this is practice for me. But just remember that our minds are still clay-like. No matter how old we get, we can still change ourselves. But the ability to do that, for me, is my experience, is just being able to make sure that we provide our brains and our bodies the nutrients it needs to repair. Like if you're doing fitness training and endurance training, you're going to make sure you're eating protein, you're eating right, you're hydrating yourself so that you have your body has the building blocks to build itself up, right? Same thing goes for your brain, and so you're developing these habits. And that's why I always talk so much about nootropics. I always put the link in my bio from what I use. Dr. Daniel Amen has a huge collection of information out there. I'm definitely going to share what I find that's useful, but definitely developing those nootropics, because I worked in the food industry, background is health sciences. Yes, food provides our macronutrients, but we're not hunter-gatherers anymore. We can go out and get concentrated nutrients that we need. What was it? Systems thinking. If a system can only grow, will grow no further than the limit imposed on it on the missing ingredient. So it's like if you have a plant and needs potassium, it doesn't matter how much sodium, calcium you add to the soil, if you don't add the potassium that it needs, it's not gonna grow. It's gonna limit itself. So really being able to know what nutrients we need. Like forever, I've always had an iron deficiency. I thought that was weird because I'm a guy. Like, what? I don't need iron pills, right? But no, I need, for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe it was my diet, I wasn't getting as much iron, so I had to get more iron. And in respect, it was very important for me developmentally and for my education, because your brain runs on oxygen, and what carries oxygen to your brain? Iron, on hemoglobin. So it all really comes down together. And the last part of this is really believing and understanding this whole concept of metaphysics. Right now, I am recording a video. There's no one here. I'm literally just talking to myself. Well, it feels like it until you see it. And so my belief in your understanding is this idea that I am communicating information to your mind, into your, effectively, what people call your third eye, your mind's eye. And I'm allowing you to visualize me right now with all the screens and everything that's on here. But believing that ideas are things. Before the iPhone was created, it was an idea. Before a car was created, it was an idea. Before Einstein and the Manhattan Project happened, it was an idea. E equals MC squared was an idea. And then it manifested into the hydrogen bomb, nuclear energy, and Hiroshima. Good and bad, but it all started with an idea. So just always remembering that ideas are things. And some things are actually many different ideas. For example, this bottle has multiple ideas, like a screw and a wedge on plastic. I believe this might have even been 3D printed. And so there's a filter system. So there's actually this is made out of plastic, not wood versus glass. And the design of this singular product is a conglomeration of many different ideas. Actually, I wanted to drop it like the. I'm not gonna make that. I'm not gonna dirty myself. But basically, what is that? Let's get back to the point. It's a conglomeration of very different ideas, and being able to remember that whenever you're working on a project and you're in the flow zone, at the end of the day, all you're doing is putting together ideas. And some ideas will work and some ideas won't. And it's your job to find ideas that work for the products that you want to make for your customers and your end consumers. And those end consumers can be your customers, or they can be your family or your friends. Delicious. So yeah, ideas are definitely things. And that comes back to this whole idea, this other idea of log waves. This was in another video I was recording, and that's really being able to understand things at scale and really understand this how things work, in how you're able to make micro changes can affect large changes. And this is actually a very interesting photo. It's up on the screen now. On the left, one of these photos is a picture of background radiation in the universe. The other one is actually pictures of, I believe, neurons. It's very interesting because they look quite similar. It's very globular, but then some areas are very dense with material and matter, and others are very dispersed and empty. And yeah, it's the cells. Some areas have little nucleus, and organelles, and other places in the universe have galaxies and nebulas and black holes and all this other stuff. And other places are completely blank, like there's nothing there. But then even when you look down, I think I saw this when I was flying in from into LAX a while ago. If you ever, those who ever fly over cities, if you ever look down, I don't know if everyone else ever sees this or notices, but a lot of times you look at a city, it actually looks like a microchip, where you have like, okay, a warehouse that's producing a product and it's shipping it out. Now I know that's like product, and you know, microchips are doing a different process, but those bays, the connections and rows being the circuits, it's very analogous in my mind, the way I see it. And so if you zoom down, if I go down here to the last section, we'll look at like electromagnetic waves and how there's some waves that are like radio waves that are 10 to the 4th, microwave 10 to the -2, then light waves are 10 to the -6. And as you get smaller, you go into X-rays and gamma rays. Understand scale and sizes. And so we will talk about the comparison between microchips and cities, and connection between brain cells and the universe. And it's very similar systems, but they're just on different scales and they're doing different operations. And being able to look at the entire universe, all the creation, from the entire universe basically going down to the subatomic level, and understanding how that scale drills down. Because when you make a change in the substructure of a system, it has emergent properties on a higher level, and vice versa. When you make changes on the macro level, it can also have implications on the smaller, on a lower level. And because metaphysics, ideas are things, if we want to make changes into being flow, sometimes we are looking at the emergent properties, but we need to figure out what are the subsystems that we need to make those micro changes. Do we need to go 2 or 3 or 4 layers down? And to make the change that we need to ripple out. And when I say ripple out, it's kind of a strategic intentional, because at the end of the day, everything is wave functions. And you look at this especially in trading, where you see things are undulating in waves. You talk about things going viral, and the wave of adaptation. There's the early adapters, the general populace, and then the laggards. It's a wave, and being able to perceive that wave in different functions. Even me speaking right now is a wave. The light coming towards me is a wave. We talk about strings being vibrations of waves, with M theory and all this other stuff. It's all waves, and even as I put this idea out there on the internet, it's gonna have a network ripple effect. I don't know what that ripple effect is, and you're not gonna know what the ripple effect is gonna be for you. What happens when you operate and flow in all of your products and services are of the highest quality caliber, because you're able to focus and do your very best work. I don't know. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be amazing. So yeah, I just want you to be able to do your best work, live your best life. And to do that, we all have to just be in flow. Now, I am offering several different services, so if you find this interesting, and I would love for the free services and references I put in the description to help you and be what you need to go live your best life. I'm also offering one-on-one coaching sessions. So if you want 4 to 8 hour online coaching session, I would be able to sit down with you, really develop a programming system for you in your home and your workspace, develop 5S Kanban systems, and really organize it. That's a $500 service. From there, we also have the home pneumonia machine process, where I would come into your home, we would clean and organize up to like 3 or 4 bedrooms. We could definitely talk about this on one-on-one. There are also some higher level packages I'm offering, which is corporate solo entrepreneurs, for those who are doing work from home, or that are doing remote-based businesses and they really want to organize their home space to be able to allow them to do the best work. This would also include like 6 months worth of supplements, as well as it's about 2 or 3 weeks. We come back and actually we revisit, and so we're cycling through. So we coach with you, we organize it, and then you live in that space for about a week, and then we come back and we reanalyze and see, hey, what's working, what's not working, because maybe we thought we need to go this direction, but that wasn't definitely not the direction. We need to pivot and change focus. So yeah, those are the offerings there. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, 30 days after the end of the session. If you think it's no great, it wasn't good for you, we'd love to refund you your investment, minus the cost of services and materials, because not everything's returnable. It is what it is. So yeah, link in the description below. You can fill out an application, link in the portal, put your information and we'll book a call, and we'll see you on the other side. Okay, Indy out.